October Benchmark Test, Grade 8 Social Studies. Multiple choice. Number 1. The Proclamation of 1763 prohibited colonists from moving west of the A. Louisiana Territory, B. Ohio River Valley, C. Appalachian Mountains, D. Great Lakes. Number 2. Which colonists did not consider unfair taxes a good reason for rebellion? A. Separatists, B. Nationalists, C. Patriots, D. Loyalists. Number 3. Colonial leaders used the Boston Massacre killings as A. a call to war, B. a reason to tax Great Britain, C. propaganda, or D. a reason to trust the British. Number 4. Which country won the French and Indian War? A. France, B. Great Britain, C. Spain, D. Germany. Number 5. Why did King George issue the Proclamation of 1763? A. To force the colonists to help pay for Britain's war debts. B. To prevent the colonists from fighting with Native Americans. C. To show the colonists that he did not view them as British citizens. Or D. To punish the colonists for not fighting in the French and Indian War. Number 6. What was the main impact of common sense in the colonies? A. It persuaded many colonists that the time had come to declare independence. B. It reminded colonists that they owed loyalty and respect to King George. C. It encouraged the colonies to reach a peaceful settlement with Britain. Or D. It convinced many colonists they could not win a war against Britain. Number 7. Which phrase is directly associated with the American colonists' reaction to the Stamp Act? A. Live free or die. B. All men are created equal. C. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Or D. No taxation without representation. Number 8. Miguel must write a paper on the American Revolution. He must use one primary source and one secondary source. Which sources should he choose? A. The journal of a Revolutionary War leader and an eyewitness account of a Revolutionary War battle. B. A colonial patriot's speech and the autobiography of a lawyer who lived during the Revolutionary War. C. Articles on the Revolutionary War from an encyclopedia and a U.S. history textbook. D. The letters of a Revolutionary War patriot and a biography of a Revolutionary War leader. Number 9. The Boston Massacre took place in 1770 in the British colony of Massachusetts. Which description of this event is written from the point of view of the Sons of Liberty? A. Conflict between British soldiers and Boston residents resulted in 5 deaths. B. Unprovoked British soldiers fired into a defenseless crowd, taking 5 innocent lives. C. British soldiers were surrounded by unruly colonists and fired their muskets in self-defense. Or D. A mob of angry Bostonians unlawfully confronted British soldiers, resulting in several deaths. Number 10. The Sons of Liberty were a group of American colonists who worked to change the political situation in the 1760s. How did the Sons of Liberty work to repeal the Stamp Act? A. By taking military action against the British. B. By forming alliances with the enemies of Britain. C. By meeting with Parliament to repeal the Stamp Act. D. By participating in public protests against the Stamp Act. Number 11. Before 1763, the American colonies had been A. Ruled with a firm hand by Parliament. B. Left alone to govern themselves. C. Heavily taxed by the British government. Or D. Denied religious freedom by the king. Number 12. The Intolerable Acts. A. Forced the colonies to give in to Britain. B. United the colonies against Britain. C. Divided the colonies against each other. Or D. Turned the colonies against Boston. Number 13. The man who wrote the Declaration of Independence was A. Thomas Jefferson. B. Patrick Henry. C. Benjamin Franklin. Or D. John Adams. Number 14. The First Continental Congress was held to A. Protest the Intolerable Acts. B. Punish the citizens of Boston. C. Strengthen the Quartering Act. Or D. Declare independence for the colonies. Number 15. The main American strength when the war began was A. An army of well-trained militia volunteers. B. A large and powerful navy. C. An able and inspiring leader in George Washington. Or D. A large supply of guns and bullets. Number 16. In the Treaty of Paris, the Americans won their independence and A. The right to strip loyalists of their property. B. A pledge that future conflicts with Britain would be settled peacefully. C. The return of all taxes collected by Britain before the war. Or D. All the territory lying east of the Mississippi River. Number 17. The Declaration of Independence was written to explain A. Why the colonists thought taxation without representation was unfair. B. What Britain needed to do to win back the loyalty of the colonies. C. Why it was time for the colonies to separate from Great Britain. Or D. What other nations could do to help the colonies win their freedom. Number 18. The day on which the Declaration of Independence was approved in 1776 is celebrated today as A. Thanksgiving Day, B. Independence Day, C. Memorial Day, D. Veterans Day. Number 19. Based on the information provided in the chart to the right, who had the largest fighting force in the colonies in 1777? A. The British, B. The Indians, C. The French, D. The Americans. Number 20. Taxes and boycotts. Based on the timeline above, how many people died in the Boston Massacre? A. 0, B. 5, C. 10, D. 15. Use the map below to answer questions 21 and 22. Number 21. What natural feature marked the western boundary of the 13 colonies? A. Appalachian Mountains, B. Gulf of Mexico, C. Mississippi River, D. Atlantic Ocean. Number 22. What natural feature marked the eastern boundary of the Spanish territory? A. Appalachian Mountains, B. Gulf of Mexico, C. Mississippi River, D. Atlantic Ocean.